No. All right, good morning, everyone. Let's call the Dauphin County Board of Commissioners workshop meeting for Wednesday, September 11th, 2024. And in honor of September 11th, we would ask that we would remember all of those who have fallen, all of those heroes who have served this country, and the significant impact that this state has on our history. Please rise for a moment of silence, followed by the pledge to the flag. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The meeting this week is a workshop meeting but we have a great deal on the agenda today, including an election board meeting. So for those of you in the audience for the first time or watching online for the first time, the workshop meeting is usually the meeting that we talk about items in more of a great length and detail, while the legislative meeting is more about the conducting and actually moving of business related to the county matters. Next week, in our legislative meeting, we will be taking up the approval of meeting minutes, which will be the August 28th, 2024 workshop meeting and the September 4th, 2024 legislative meetings. Executive sessions held between meetings. Mr. Pease.
Good morning, Commissioners. On September 10th, the Commissioners held an executive session to discuss matters of public safety and emergency response at Dauphin County Prison and to obtain advice of legal counsel on matters related to elections. In addition to the Solicitor's Office, Edgar Cohen, Director of Facility Maintenance, participated in an executive session to provide input on the matters regarding DCP. Christopher Spackman, Director of Registration and Elections, and Kelly Hostetter, Deputy Director of Registration, participated in the executive session to provide input on the election.
Any questions for Mr. Pease? Hearing none, thank you for the report, Vince. This is the first opportunity on our agenda for public participation on agenda items only. Are there any individuals that would like to participate and comment on any of the agenda items that are listed today? Yes. Yes, sir. Come forward. Please state your name and address. More, yeah, right here.
My
Welcome.
name is David Wenger. I live at 450 La Sentier Lane, Harrisburg, 17112. That's in Middle Paxton Township.
Thank you.
So, and I'm here today. I appreciate the opportunity to meet with all of you. But I'm here because I believe that we are in need of a robust and strong voter-friendly county policy for notice and ballot cure. I appreciate opportunities that I've had in the past to raise some of these concerns, including such things as postpaid or prepaid return ballots for mail-in ballots and greater access for drop boxes. But today, I think we're talking about the ballot curing. And in America, we so often talk about the importance of a participatory democracy, even while some make efforts to put up barriers to full participation. No excuse vote by mail, since allowed by Act 77 and subsequently implemented, has been a boon for many people. I, for one, have voted by mail-in ballot for every election since that time. Unfortunately, some number of Dauphin County residents have been deprived of the opportunity to have their vote counted due to minor errors or omissions on their returned ballots. And this disproportionately affects disabled and elderly citizens. I don't think complicated arguments are needed in order to support a strong notice and cure policy. If we really believe that voting and participatory democracy are important, it is both obvious and necessary that we back that up by fully valuing the vote of every citizen who makes the effort to play his or her part in that democracy. Therefore, I urge you to support a robust and voter-friendly notification and ballot carrying policy and procedure that puts that value into full practice in Dauphin County. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Winter. We appreciate your passion and input at all levels. So
Thank
for
you.
being here today.
Thank you very much.
Anyone else? Yes, sir. Pastor Harris. Just if you could, please. I know you're a regular, but name and address for the record.
Yes. Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Earl Harris. I've again, and following up with what David Wenger has stated, in order to have a vibrant democracy, it's critical that we encourage as many people to vote as possible. And regrettably, when you look at the data, and you look at the ward data just in Dauphin County or in the city, the percentage of voting which occurs in the wards habitated by persons of color is 10–14% generally non-presidential elections. As a result, in the city of Harrisburg, for example, the overwhelming population, 73%, is people of color. Yet, the river wards, where it's predominantly Caucasian, the voting is almost twice that high, a little bit higher than 30%. So what happens is that people who run for office don't even go to the areas or spend very little money in the areas where people of color live. Because if you want to get elected in this city, you have to go to where people are voting and voting in numbers. The mail-in ballot is critical because it increases the percentage of everybody voting, and particularly persons in areas of in wards where persons of color. And because I am if you haven't noticed, a person of color, specifically Black, I'm very much in favor of a robust, as David Wenger has stated, notice and cure approach to mail-in ballots. It's absolutely essential. In order to have a reflective democracy where democracy reflects everybody that's here, whether you like them or not, in order to have a vibrant democracy, John Adams said in 1795, democracies don't last because it commits suicide. It turns on itself. We need as many people engaged in the process, whether we agree with them, agree with their positions or not. But again, I encourage you to develop a very strong notice and cure approach toward this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pastor Harris. Anyone else want to comment? Yes, ma'am. Good morning. State your name and address, please, for the record.
My name is Michelle Camilli, 7220 Sleepy Hollow Road in Harrisburg.
Thank you.
I didn't really prepare a statement, but as I was sitting here, I thought of two examples. And again, this is about the robust notice and cure that we're here to talk about. First of all, I'm a judge of election in West Hartford Township.
Thank you.
And I've seen examples of the folks who come in to my precinct to vote. And I'm talking about like elderly folks or disabled folks. And I think we do them a disservice to make them think that they have to come to the polling place to vote, that they struggle to come into the polling place and just to get over to the scanners, and to have them feel more secure in their ability to use a mail-in vote from home, I think would be a great service to them. And also, I think we a lot of times have to explain the process to our voters who come in. They have questions about how to do it, how it works. We answer a lot of questions. And the folks at home who are voting by mail for whatever reason that they have to do that, don't have someone with them to explain it. You know, we often provide explanations. So a notice and cure would be helpful for those people who are at home who maybe don't understand the directions, or you don't have someone there to say, oh, hold on, you need to do it this way. The other example is I have a daughter who's in college and she has voted by mail. And, you know, college students are right out of high school and they're busy. So we want them to vote, but they can't always get home to do so. Mail-in voting is important for them, but also giving them the chance if they make a mistake to correct that, because they should definitely have the ability to have their vote counted. And that's what I have to say.
Thank you so much for your service and work in elections and for your comments. Is there anyone else that wishes to comment on agenda items? I see people peeking around the corner. Yes.
Got in here late. I didn't know we were doing that. I saw on the agenda sorry, I was on the street. I saw on the agenda today that we're gonna take a vote on eliminating the past debt of people at Dauphin County Prison. And I just wanted to say we're very excited for that. I hope we all vote yes on this. We need to eliminate that debt. And I see there's no discussion about unintended consequences on people's credit reports, and we just hope that means that there won't be any. So very excited to see you guys voting on that, and hope you all vote yes.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Anybody else want to address the board on any agenda items? I see people peeking around the corner. All right. Seeing none, we will move into the election board meeting. I'd like to call our election board to order. And again, there's a time before, if we could just, Chris, I know we've asked already on any agenda items only. I think we've sort of assumed that was for election board and this board, but I want to make sure that we offer one more opportunity for public participation on any election board items that you see in front of us. Commissioner Conley?
Sir.
Good morning. Name and address?
Good morning, Commissioners. Tom Connolly, 345 North Harrisburg Street, Smyrna Township, Dauphin County. I wasn't sure. I was trying to follow the agenda, so it did have a public participation under the election board meeting, and that's where I was going to speak. But since this is on agenda items, I certainly start with the prison. You know, I think the item on the agenda is a good step forward to make improvements there. I am an elected official in Swatter Township, and speaking with other elected officials, we would love to engage in a conversation with having the Dauphin County Prison located somewhere else for the future. Modernize, look for rehabilitation, look for mental health issues. Doesn't fit that footprint anymore. And the county has made improvements in other areas. So that's a discussion for another day. But with the redevelopment of the Harrisburg Mall, one of the carve-outs is actually to have parking for visitors and staff at the prison. So you know something doesn't fit when you don't have parking spaces to operate it properly. So that's one thing. Number two, today is 9/11, and I see we have heroes in this room. So I'd like to personally thank all first responders, military personnel, and medical providers. It's amazing how many years have passed since 2001. But the real reason I'm here has to do with the election board. We want to have free, fair elections. We want to reach out. We want to include as many people as possible. The single subject that brought me here is that the Wrestler Fire Company is still a polling place, which means the elections board and this county is going to do business with an organization that has been deemed to be a racist, discriminatory organization.
Mr. Conley,
They have-
you can provide public comment on any items following this. This is for agenda items.
This has to do with the election,
But
elections board. That's
that
the
is not,
polling place. I'll speed it up then.
I understand it's not an agenda item today, though. You are certainly
Well,
welcome to
it
provide
says
public
public
comment.
participation, election board meeting.
Public
You
participation.
want me to come back up when they start the election board meeting?
No, what I would like for you to do is come back up at the time, this is for agenda items only, that prior to the actual hearing. So this means anything today that is on the agenda that is going to be considered or moved on is allowed for public comment. And that is welcome prior to us actually taking that movement. Other items that are not on the agenda would be reserved for public comment at the end of the meeting.
That is not the way you posted your public agenda. It clearly says that the time for the election board meeting would have public participation.
It's
So
public
if you want me
participation.
to wait until the election board meeting starts and then come up after the call to order for the public participation, I could do that. But you just changed that while I was standing back there and said this included both of those periods.
But I'm not changing that. What I'm doing is there's two separate meetings. There is a public meeting today for a workshop, which has agenda items on. I allowed for folks that were actually going to be commenting on notice and cure today to not miss the opportunity to comment. They might not have known the format. But before I actually called for the election board, I offered for one more final opportunity for anybody that's here that wants to comment on agenda items only for the actual items that are here, which are listed notice and cure and standard operating procedures for Dropbox, to make those comments before we actually take any formal action today.
The election, that's fine when you have two public participation periods. You might want to check with your solicitor. This only has one. So when you only have one, you can't restrict it to agenda items.
Right.
You had two. So your first comment for the public was to say, if
Commissioner
you had
Collins,
something on the agenda items, because then
offer you the opportunity to speak on any matter that you choose. These are for agenda items only. So if you want to come up following the business of the election board to make those comments, I will make sure that we offer.
Can I make a motion that we add a public participation time prior to adjournment?
Yeah, and I'd be glad to do that. And again, we could. even do
adjournment
that-
of the election,
Adjournment of the election
That's
board
fine.
meeting is what I'm saying. I'll make a motion that, do I have a second for that motion?
Sure, second. I just don't want to move out of Robert's Rules of Order. Yep. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. The ayes have it. Okay, Mr. Speck.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Morning. As you know, the Bureau of Registration Elections, in consultation with the Solicitor's Office, was tasked with developing a notice and cure plan so that voters who made mistakes in completing their mail-in or absentee ballots, such as forgetting to put their ballot in the secrecy envelope or signing the back of the declaration envelope, would be given an opportunity to correct their mistake. The proposed plan in front of you today is this office's recommendation based on best practices. To summarize the curing process, when ballots are returned, whether through the post office, returned directly by the voter to the registration and election office, or collected through a Dropbox, we will visually inspect each ballot and look for deficiencies that would otherwise not allow the ballot to be counted, such as a lack of signature or lack of privacy envelope. Deficient ballots would be scanned into SURE, which is the statewide voter registration system, and provided that there is an email attached to the voter's record, they will receive an email. Next, we would mail the deficient ballot back to the voter along with a new return envelope and a new secrecy envelope. We would include a letter explaining that the voter made a mistake, that they were to remove their voted ballot, put it in the new secrecy envelope, place that in the return envelope, and sign and date the back of the return envelope. Lastly, provisional ballots cast by eligible voters will be counted if the absentee or mail-in ballot was otherwise rejected. Also before you today is the adoption of standard operating procedures for ballot return sites, otherwise known as Dropboxes. These procedures are a formal adoption of the practices we already employ, such as 24/7 video surveillance of Dropboxes. The boxes are to be securely placed and chain of custody is kept while emptying the boxes. Plan stipulates that an employee of the Bureau of Registration and Elections and a Dauphin County Public Safety Officer will be the two individuals responsible for daily collection of the drop boxes. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
First, obviously we've
Mhm.
had some discussion related to these issues and for us to be able to take a look at what the model notice and cure policy was and the one that is preferred related to the best practices in Pennsylvania are what we asked you to seek out. And that that's what's in front of us and we've discussed.
Yes,
I
Commissioner.
just want to make sure that that's very
Absolutely.
clear.
Yep.
And then there's going to be a couple of technical questions that I want to ask you throughout, but I'd like to open up my colleagues first of all,
Wonderful.
Commissioner Douglas, to ask any questions you may have.
Sure. Well, first, Director Spagman, thank you so much for all your efforts on this. I know this has been a lot of time and energy that you and your staff have put into this. We're incredibly thankful. Obviously, I think Dauphin County has been a beacon of what elections should look like.
Thank you.
And I'm thankful that you're continuing to carry that torch in your leadership capacity now. I just want to first hold up this. This is the amount of constituents that have reached out to me asking for notice and cure. To me directly, to my email. Over 70 individuals have reached out to me asking for notice and cure. It's, a basic reality that, it would seem like, a nonpartisan issue to say we want all of our votes to count, right? We want every vote that's made to count. And what's become pretty clear in mail-in voting is that this disproportionately affects elderly individuals, disabled individuals, maybe even English as a second language individual, even as a public commenter just said, they don't have someone to walk them through the process if they have a question, if they don't understand, if maybe they look at the date and they put their birthday instead of the date because they think that's what's being asked. We've seen those types of issues before. And just to be clear, in the past, even in our previous primary election for this cycle, if mistakes like what we're talking about, giving people an opportunity to correct, were made, those votes would not count, correct?
That's correct. Yes.
So this is improving, allowing for every single vote to count. And I think that's, critically important for our democracy. I do want to ask some, I guess, a couple detailed questions. These will be uploaded into the Sure system,
Yes.
and they will be coded as pending, correct?
Yes, that's correct. The Shore system allows us to code the ballots as they're returned as either accepted, or in this case, for the notice and cure plan, those specific ballots that are deficient would be pending, no signature or pending no secrecy envelope.
Okay. And just so the public understands, every voter is given a unique barcode.
Yes.
And maybe you can explain, just because if there are concerns from anyone about the potential that, you cast a ballot and then that ballot doesn't count and you go to your precinct and, vote provisionally, that you might, oh, wow, am I going to get 2 votes counted? Well, that's impossible with the Sure system. And maybe you can explain that just so that people can understand.
I'd be happy to. The way that the mail-in ballots and absentee ballots work is anytime a ballot is created for a voter because they requested, a unique identifier is attached via a barcode to that envelope. That's unique to the envelope and to the voter. If for whatever reason they needed to request a replacement ballot, such as if they've lost it in the mail or the dog ate it, for example, or what have you, they can request a new ballot and they get a new ballot label. If they were to return that first ballot, we would know, and there's no way that they would be able to return to. We would know immediately because that first barcode would no longer be valid.
Be canceled or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the pending code that goes in there will be pending signature or pending secrecy envelope or envelope secrecy.
Yeah.
But we're not going to necessarily have a pending date because of a ruling that took place currently, Commonwealth Court ruling that that I guess is compelling all counties to count irrespective of incorrect date. But in the event that that were to be overturned, we could potentially add that provision to our ballot curing measures, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay, just making sure that that's the case. When someone who might be disabled wants to send a mail-in ballot and wants to have someone do that for them, that's called a designated agent, correct?
Yes.
And so in the Commonwealth, you can designate an agent to deliver your mail-in ballot for you.
Yes.
Correct. And I just want to ensure that if a designated agent were to take a mail-in ballot, drop off that mail-in ballot were to be returned to that voter with an error of some kind, the same designated agent can return that corrected ballot, correct?
Absolutely.
only because there has been rulings that designated agents are only allowed to work in one capacity. And I just want to make sure we're making it clear that designated agents can help amend, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. That designated agent form would follow the voter through the full mail-in process,
Great.
absentee process.
Great. My last question is simply around who is allowed at the election bureau on the night of the election to witness the votes being counted, just because I know there might be some confusion around that. And I just want to make sure that we're being transparent with the public on what our understanding of that is.
Yeah, absolutely. The only individuals, with the exception, of course, of the Bureau of Registration Elections and the designated staff, or what's called authorized representatives of candidates in the party. We require and request that any candidate or party who wishes to appoint these duly authorized representatives provide the list of the names on official letterhead, but only one of which are allowed in at a single time from each campaign or candidate. Party or candidate.
Right. Thank you, Director Spack.
That was a little confusing for me.
Oh, okay.
If you can just clarify.
Absolutely.
Because
Yep.
you said representative members from each party, but you mean there could be designated representatives from the party
Mhm.
and one designated representative for each candidate.
That's correct.
I just want to
Yes.
make sure
Yep,
that's clear.
That's absolutely right.
Okay.
Yep.
So for the record, that should be reflected. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for that clarification. Commissioner Freeze?
Good morning, Mr. Spackman.
Good morning, Commissioner Priest.
I want to thank you and the approximately 1,200 volunteers who will be working for the county residents on election day from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. at our 155 polling places throughout the county for the great work they're doing, civic duty that they are doing, not just the 13 hours that day, but leading up to it and well into the evening hours. Thousands of Americans have died for us to have our precious right to vote. And the goal should always be 100% voter turnout. Act 77 legislative voting record clearly shows bipartisan support of both former and those who are current Dauphin County state representatives and state senators. And Mr. Spackman, for clarification, on election day, can a resident go to the polls and if they have a mistake at their ballot, can they change it election day?
Absolutely. They can request a new ballot, spoil it, and get a new, surrender a ballot and get a new ballot. Yes.
And mail-ins are overwhelmingly done well in advance of election day.
Absolutely.
Therefore, I see no reason that individuals should not be able to make corrections. All of that combined with recent court decisions has me in full support, providing mechanisms allowing every vote to count.
Thank you, Commissioner Breeze. I appreciate that. Commissioner Douglas just leaned in and said he has one additional question. I'll certainly let him ask that.
Yeah, I just wanted to acknowledge that we at this moment have more registered voters than at any other time in Dauphin County's history, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. I think that's,
Mhm.
important to note that we're seeing registration grow. And at the same time as we're doing that, we're desiring to make and ensure that every single vote counts. So thank you for your efforts.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would. Commissioner Prees also asked one more question. He had asked about the standard operating procedures for drop box placements. It appears he has a couple of additional questions related to that. We'll certainly allow those at this point.
I know that we have in front of us, we've been provided ballot return sites, placement retrieval standard operating procedures. I just want to verify that through the solicitor's office, it's been reviewed and the solicitor's office is agreed upon the chain of custody issues that are within said standard operating procedure.
Correct.
Thank you.
Anything further? Anything further, Commissioner Douglas? I was asked a question last night. It's always good to talk to people that aren't involved in this stuff and hear what they have to say, because quite frankly, being so engaged in it, we're trying to ask all the questions and sort of in a way that is maybe a little bit too close. So the question I got was, how would somebody know if there was no the secrecy envelope?
Mhm.
Like, how would you be able to make that determination? I know the answer, but for the record,
Absolutely.
could you let folks know? Because, we can't do pre-canvassing.
Mhm.
We've asked for that for a number of years, from the legislature. The ability for us to do this in advance would be very helpful for a number of reasons, including results, tallies, and to be able to effectively notice and cure. But, how would we know that there's no secrecy envelope?
Absolutely. So the return envelope would have a hole punch within the envelope. So we would clearly would be able to see if there's a privacy envelope, because the privacy envelopes, secrecy envelopes are a bright yellow color. So it would be quickly apparent on its face if there is or not. a
So,
secrecy envelope.
so the envelopes would contain a hole punch, which therefore, without opening or tampering them, would allow us to make a determination. If you didn't see that yellow envelope, that we should be then enacting our notice and cure policy, if
Mhm.
enacted today,
That's right.
in order to allow somebody to make that correction.
Mhm.
All right. Again, I think there was adequate questions that were asked. I know I've asked an overwhelmingly large number of them in the past several weeks and months. At this point, is there any additional questions from the board related to the notice and cure policy for mail-in and absentee ballots? And are you asking today, and is the solicitor asking for the standard operating procedures for drop box placement and retrieval, or are they just affirmed for today? Because again, I believe those were in place. I think we have just make sure we have written policy to back up that level of documentation and chain of custody.
Asking for an affirmation, correct?
So I'll take a motion on the notice and cure policy for mail-in and absentee ballots first.
So moved.
Motion made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. The ayes have it. All right. I'll now entertain a motion to affirm the standard operating procedures for drop box placement and retrieval.
So moved.
Motion made. I'll second the motion. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Note that one abstention. Okay.
Right.
Mr. Brackman, thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Appreciate you. All right. We have made room for public participation. Mr. Conley?
Thank you. Tom Connolly, 345 North Harrisburg Street. I'll get right to it. This is an election board meeting. We're coming up on a major election, presidential election, where we see the highest voter turnout. We have the county set to do business with an organization that has lost their firefighting service privileges in Swadire Township because it was deemed their policies discriminated. And I came here in May, and time has passed. The election's coming up. Nothing has changed. They didn't appeal that. They're out of service in Swadire Township, yet you are paying them to use their building as a polling place when you have Tri-Community Elementary School right down the street. I think that the time to act on this is now. You brought it up at the last meeting and it was not a successful vote. Now time has passed and nothing has changed. That entity is still out of business because they racially discriminated as a policy, not a mistake, not an individual, as a policy. And I find it completely outrageous when we talk about open and fair voting and every vote counts, that you would use them basically as a location, as franchise. You could pick other places. You are still planning on using them, but I have faith in this board and you have time to fix it. So my appeal to you is to take action today. This is an election board meeting. That's why I came. I apologize for your meeting ahead of it that I wasn't coming to, but I was under the impression that you gavelled out, and this was specifically an election board meeting. And I understand that the three commissioners I'm facing are the election board. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so you're the election board. I'm here at the election board meeting, and I'm asking you not to do business with a discriminatory organization and pay them to be a polling place in Dauphin County. It's that simple. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Conley. I know we've had significant debate and discussion around this particular issue. And to my extent, there's not been any other individual except for you that made that attempt. And I've not heard from any resident before or after related to that particular issue. So again, it's not on the agenda today, and that matter has been resolved.
It is.
Yep.
just trying to, there's lots of public participation today. It's getting very confusing up in here. So I also live in Swatera Township, and I live right down the street from that racist firehouse. That was under federal orders and then violated it and made it a policy to discriminate against people like me, who make up a lot of that community, Mr. Hartwick, which you know. The fact that there's been discussion and it hasn't been decided to move it to the public school tri-community right down the street from there is actually really, really upsetting to me. I don't understand why we would be paying that organization any money. If we're going to pay anyone any money, it should go back into our public schools that are already there for this purpose. That firehouse should have been shut down, needed to be shut down. And if you think this issue hasn't been resolved with the community, it's just because like we weren't aware that you guys would not vote to move to tri-community. It seems pretty easy. It seems pretty simple. So as far as I'm concerned, the matter isn't closed. Matters that are closed can always be reopened. So I actually do hope that you hear this plea from Tom Connolly and now myself, who live right down the street from there, and do something about this because it's like right in our community. It's like the racism in the heart of our community, and we should not, as a county, be giving any money to that. So thank you.
I just want to go on the record to say I voted for that polling place to be moved, and as far as I'm concerned, it is not resolved.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're adjourned. We are moving into the regular meeting. I believe there is a presentation to begin with Devin Chianos. Devin, you want to come forward related to our co-responder program? Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Good morning, commissioners, elected officials, department heads, and community members. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Devin Chianos, and I am the Deputy Chief Co-Responder. I acknowledge that I would not be here in front of you today in this position if it was not for the team of dedicated co-responders that I have here with me today, along with the partnership and unwavering support from District Attorney Chardo and our local law enforcement agencies and families. Today, I'm glad to say that as a team of 9, I can speak with great pride regarding the work that this team does day in and day out. As many of you are aware, our commissioners and community partnerships are dedicated to serving those in our community, and that includes providing the support and guidance needed to those individuals who are facing mental health crises in our community. The concept of co-responders embedded with our local police departments began as an idea and was brought to life spring of 2020. With just 2 of us. We hit the ground running, never looked back, and in less than a year, we grew up from a team of 2 to a team of 6 with partnerships of 8 local police departments. As of today, we share that same partnership with those 8 local police departments and have grown to a team of 9. This team is embedded with our community police departments and respond to calls of service in partnership with officers to best serve our community members when facing a mental health crisis, homelessness, hunger, needs for drug and alcohol service, meeting someone where they are at emotionally, mentally, and sometimes just being there to listen to them. To date, the co-responder team has received 10,678 referrals since the inception of the program just 4 short years ago. Some of those outcomes result in referrals to community service providers, follow up with service providers already in place, along with continue to support those in need. The goal of this program is to divert individuals suffering a mental health crisis in our community and not have them enter our criminal justice system. With that, I'm also proud to share that we have a recidivism rate of 4.3% out of those 10,000 plus individuals we have came in contact with.
Outstanding.
When those individuals do enter our criminal justice system, we are able to work in partnership with our behavioral health unit out of our Dauphin County District Attorney's Office to ensure those individuals are receiving the services and support they deserve. National Co-Responder Week allows us to shine a light on the team that is serving the community daily and carrying out the important work in meeting the rising demand of mental health and substance abuse needs. This is often a thankless job and one in which we don't always hear about the successes. But we remind ourselves if we help one person, we have helped one person. With that, thank you is just not enough for this time. This group puts their lives in high-risk situations to assist someone so they can see their worth in our community. This team values time with their loved ones to answer calls in the middle of the night misses events with friends and families because of their unwavering dedication to the work that they do. I would like to take this time to introduce the team members here who are here with us today, and also the two that are unable to attend. First is Jordan Rulco. She is the co-responder of Stoughton Borough Police Department and Laura Swatara Township Police Department. She is not present today as she is currently continuing her education and attending a week-long training on youth-focused crisis intervention services. The second member who is not present with us today is Lydia Hope. She is embedded with Susquehanna Township Police Department, and she is currently home enjoying a new addition to her family. With that, I would like to first recognize our team that is embedded with Harrisburg Bureau of Police. First, we have Gina Abramitis, lead city co-responder, and then co-responders Jorge Palazzo Gonzalez and Sarah Lutz. Next, we have our township team. First is lead township co-responder Elizabeth Manning, and who is partnered with Derry Township Police Department and Hummelstown Borough of Police. Then Taylor Brelli, who is with Swatara Township Police Department. And lastly, but not least, Jared Ross, who is partnered with Lower Patson Township Police Department. With that, you will also see we were fortunate to have members of those departments here today. We would not be where we are if it was not for their partnership and their dedication to serving their community. I am also would like to share an email that Hummelstown Borough Chief of Police and the Dauphin County Chief of Police Association President, Chief Justin has asked for me to share today. I am sorry that I'm unable to attend. However, I can't stress enough the importance of the co-responder program. Unfortunately, none of us will ever be able to have an accurate count of lives changed for the positive because of this program. We know it works and is very successful based on what we see and hear. Every department has a few success stories that likely would have never happened without a co-responder. But what about all the successes that the program played a vital part in that we never hear about? We may think about measuring the success of a program like this. They never discuss the clients' lives that have changed, but also the CIT training does so much more. Not only are CIT trained officers better enabled to deal with subjects more effectively, but they are also proudly pass these tools on to others, both in and outside of law enforcement. In a time when law enforcement is criticized in every turn, this program shows the true heart of all Dauphin County law enforcement professionals. The rippling effect that the Dauphin County co-responder has is something the law enforcement of Dauphin County should be very proud of. Congratulations to all involved. Happy National Co-Responder Week. In closing, thank you to this team of individuals behind me today, and thank you to those in this room and the community for continued support in the mission of battling the stigma against mental health.
Fernandez, you wanna make any comments?
Sure, I'll just say thank you. Thank you, and thank you to everyone who's part of this program. I think certainly the ability to understand someone in mental crisis or in mental health crisis, or to enter into a scene and to de-escalate and to bring a different approach as a co-responder, I think is the kind of community policing that I think we really need. And here in Dauphin County, to see your leadership and that the DA's leadership, I'm incredibly thankful that this type of a program exists, and that we're seeing results, and that we're seeing even collaboration abound, and going from 2 to 9 individuals, and to see this continue to grow. I think it's just going to be for the benefit of the community and the benefit of justice, so that we can certainly take someone who needs medical attention and not necessarily apply our justice system to them, but instead approach that with compassion, understanding, and a desire to get them the help they need. So thank you for all your efforts in that.
Thank you for your support.
I echo those comments and wholeheartedly agree. I also want to say, and I've said it before, we're in an event like this, a meeting or out to dinner or at a game, and that alarm goes off, that dispatch comes in, we're still at a meeting like this, out to dinner or at a sporting event. Our first responders are responding within a moment's notice, 24/7, 365, when our residents are in their time of greatest need. And the calls that come in, most recent calls that I got, and I reported this morning, 412,000 calls to 911 in the past year. 250,000 or 312,000 were dispatched, 250,000 for police, 50,000 for EMS, and 12,000 for fire. when our first responders are going to these sites and helping people, we need to remember every day that they're putting their lives on the line on our behalf. And this co-responder program, Commissioner Harwick, I want to thank you and the district attorney for the work that you've done in getting us to this point today, and your great team as well. Everybody that's involved, it's something that we should be very proud of. Thank you.
Commissioner Parisi. Thank you to all the co-responders and to law enforcement. I remember having these discussions over the years about mental health responses that ended in death of individuals that had been detained, or there was a violent response that, absent this training and absent the ability to keep police officers and the people that we serve safe, we had significant risk on both sides. Not to mention that given the tools, and I think a part of this is, the leadership of the district attorney, the ability for law enforcement to ensure that we provided them the support that they needed when they needed it, in a way that was going to be helpful in them doing their ever expansive job, but also their willingness to be able to be trained and educated around issues that they may not have signed up for as police, but also allow them to better serve the public, in which I know that folks are here to be able to do. I know that change is always difficult. And I also know that the results are overwhelmingly great when we get over the fear of change. And the ability for us in 2017 to rip Band-Aids off related to our mental health and criminal justice look, and begin the process of defining. I remember a conversation with Rob Martin during that time. He said, give us what we need, give us the level of services and help that the police officers need in support and coordination. And it can't happen without a partnership. And the idea of lives saved, there's not an officer that I don't run into, or a person or in this community that I'm not engaged with related to mental health that doesn't come up to me and say, number one, the officers are saying, I got this guy into treatment I didn't know before the CIT program. I think they provided referrals to veterans. They figure out ways to be able to connect people to the help that they need, because otherwise it's a revolving door that no one gets better with. And look, mental health is not a crime. Let me repeat that. Mental health is not a crime. But unfortunately, the engagement with law enforcement during those critical times of crisis end up resulting in arrests. And the more we can become educated about issues of autism, behavioral health, the ability to be able to approach, the ability to understand and listen, the ability to have certified and trained professionals willing to go into the battle that are motivated by seeing the right outcome for people who aren't committing crimes, but are crying out for help. And we need to make sure that we are commending the people that have made that change, committed to having the training. The number of police officers that are trained in this county, what is it, around
409.
409 police officers. They said we wouldn't train anyone. We have the majority of police in this county, and they proudly wear their CIT training badge. And again, the number of incidents are way down. It's making life safer for police, and the outcomes for those individuals. You've seen recidivism rates are down. I think I took a look at last year's statistics, and it was less than 12% of these interactions result in arrests.
3.73%.
Again, the idea
Consistently under 4.
that you want to talk about front end diversion. The idea of diverting people away from the booking center or the hospital room, or worse, versus where they end up, we would see numbers significantly higher had we not made this partnership and had this vision. And I know we've got some MOUs to update and some community levels of partnerships to renew related to this arrangement. But I also want to commend the municipalities. They have stepped up and they have taken on 50% of the share of these costs. I think a true partnership exists when you show its value and ultimately put your money where your mouth is. And in this case, the local municipalities have been a great funding partner and a great partner in leadership in ensuring that this program is going to be sustained through the future. And I know you've got this board's commitment to be able to both honor that and continue to build on that success. I quite frankly would not want to see the population numbers responders or the issues from the emergency room. Now, the last piece of this is Intercept Zero, which we are talking about the drop-in center and the ability for us to be able to do real diversion, but there's a lot of investment that needs to occur because there's limited affordable housing. There's no options for people as it relates to stabilization. So don't think the work is over, but today's a great day to actually look back and see how far we've come and to congratulate both the men and women who are heroes in law enforcement, the men and women who are heroes in the CIT department, and the men and women who are heroes in this community who quite frankly stand up after this and ask for help, which takes a whole hell of a lot to be able to do in order to live their fullest life. So I want to thank you for all your efforts in that regard.
And if I may, I would just want to thank the Board of Commissioners. I mean, the investment and the commitment of this Board of Commissioners to this project, we are indebted to you and we thank you. And the commitment of our police and our chiefs of police to this. It's not as is on television where you see competition. We are a team and we have commitment from our municipal police to this project, and they're fully invested and we appreciate their involvement in this. And you mentioned the pride that our municipal police officers have in wearing that CIT pin. Our co-responders are involved in that training, and it is a critical part of this whole project.
And Fred, thank you for your leadership. So on behalf of the Board of Commissioners, we're committed to providing support for those facing behavioral health issues in our community. And mental health and substance abuse use challenges can lead to homelessness, incarceration, emergency room visits, which are more intrusive and costly for communities than early interventions and connections to behavioral health services. Whereas the National Institute of Mental Health estimates that more than 1 in 5 U.S. adults live with a mental illness. And in Dauphin County, the co-responder team established in 2020 encounters on average 3,000 individuals who are suffering from a mental health crisis yearly. Whereas together, these teams utilize a combined expertise of law enforcement and behavioral health professionals to de-escalate and help link the individuals to appropriate resources in our community to ensure the best possible outcomes. These dedicated first responders show exceptional leadership and passion to help those in need, reinforcing how crucial their work is in the communities of Dauphin County. And today, the co-responder team has 9 co-responders embedded within 8 local police departments. We send our appreciation to the following local law enforcement agencies, including the District Attorney's Office, Derry Township Police Department, who I see Chief with us today, Harrisburg Bureau of Police Department, Hummelstown Borough of Police Department, Lower Paxton Township Borough of Police, Lower Swinara Township Police Department, Steelton Borough Police Department, Susquehanna Township Police Department, and Swinara Township's Police Department. Therefore, we join with the 286,000 residents of this county in supporting the vital work of Dauphin County co-responders, and in grateful recognition thereof, we do hereby proudly proclaim September 15th through September 21st, 2024 as Dauphin County Co-Responder Week. Thank you so much for your support.
Everybody, please.
We do it up here then?
Yeah, that makes sense.
More people.
Yes.
We'll do it here.
Okay, that's perfect. They're gonna yell at me because I did not tell them they had to do a picture.
Pictures.
So we have the whole team here. I think that makes it.
We're gonna do it here.
Yes.
We can do it up front. Great.
Front's good.
All right.
Chief, where you going?
Oh, it's.
Get a picture.
Thank you, sir.
George, you want? George.
I'd love to have them on the
If you're allowed. Chief.
Nice job.
Okay.
Are we gonna make two? We're gonna make.
Yeah, you want
We'll let's get a couple in the back. Yeah.
And you want to move up in some more? Yeah. Perfect.
Chief, how's my hair?
There isn't any.
Not as good as yours. You get everybody room.
Yes. Actually. No, I.
Gotcha. Excellent.
Steve, thank you. Yeah, just. You got to give it to get it. All right, next part of the meeting is the Director of Human Resources, Faye Fisher. Good morning, Faye.
Good morning, Commissioners. Are there any questions on the salary board items or the items in the personnel packet?
Anything require action today?
Not today.
Okay. Any questions for Faye? Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Director of Budget and Finance, Mr. Davis.
Commissioners,
Good morning.
I have no changes to the purchase order packet that was distributed yesterday. Be ready for your approval next week.
Any questions on the purchase order packet or any other financial matters for Mr. Davis? Hearing none. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Chief Clerk's report, Mr. Pease.
Commissioners, I have nothing to report unless there are questions of me.
Any questions for Mr. Pease? Hearing none. Solicitor's report, Mr. Owens.
Thank you, Commissioner Hartwick. Items 1 through 6 under matters requiring board action have been reviewed and approved for action by the Solicitor's Office.
Thank you. And I think item number 1 on the training packet also needs moving today.
That will be tabled.
No, training pack.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Training packet.
I
Not
thought-
former business.
Training packet.
That's correct.
Any questions for Mr. Owens on items 1 through 6 or the item 1 on the training packet today? At this point, I'd entertain a motion to move those items.
I'll make a motion that we approve the training packet as presented.
Second.
Motion made and second on the training item packet. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. The ayes have it. Okay, now matters requiring board action, items 1 through 6.
I'm going to make a motion that we pull 6 for a separate conversation and vote on items 1 through 5. I'll make a motion for to move on items 1 through 5.
Motion's been made for items 1 through 5. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Second, any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. Item 6.
I just want to make sure we're being 100% clear on what we're doing here. And so I have a sheet in front of me. We are forgiving the debt of Dauphin County Prison inmate room and board. And some of this is in different accounts. And so I want to ensure that we're being 100% clear on what we're forgiving. Account number 10200 due from inmate room and board is $2,479,532.12. This would be, I believe, that the DCP balance that's still being collected by DCP. That's my understanding. If anything's wrong on this, feel free for someone to correct me. Account number 10410 is Penn Credit's active account that they're pulling from, which is $13,410,920.80. Account number 10420 is Penn Credit's inactive, meaning that they've stopped even attempting to collect that. That's $32,978,881.51. We also have another inactive bin. I believe this is from long ago. It's very old debt. From my understanding, again, I'm just speaking from my understanding, this is $4,715,289 cents. And then we have, sorry, that was 10380. That was the account. 10400, or if these say account numbers up here or their codes or whatever they are for the way in which they're being categorized. 10400 is payment plans. So this would be people we're currently collecting from on a payment plan, and that's $27,184.01. And then finally, we have 10430, which is due from inmates state SCI. And this would be individuals that I believe are in state custody that still owe this money, and that would be $12,290,815.65. The total we would be forgiving today and zeroing out all of these funds would be $65,902,534.98. And I would like to make a motion to forgive that debt.
Motion's been made to forgive the debt. Is there a second? Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Priest will second. Any discussion? I've got several questions. Again, the principle of this is something that I don't oppose. I want to make sure that I want to be clear. I'm just very still undecided related to both negative implications, related to whether or not this is a taxable event for individuals and whether or not there's going to be tax liability and claims because of this. I've also, if I can just ask the question, we'll put it on the record and then I will state my concern. Is this debt recorded, and is this debt currently counting against somebody's credit rating today?
I'm unaware of that answer.
So from this past week of research and phone calls and research by staff, what the short answer is to both of your questions is I'm still unsure. However, what I've found is, as far as tax implications, that a debt forgiveness can be a taxable event that would go towards an individual's adjusted gross income. It would, if that is so for this event, it would obviously vary from person to person on how much debt they have owed and what is forgiven. As far as whether this debt has been reported, is my understanding that Penn Credit does not currently report this debt to any credit bureau or agency, and has not, their claim is they have not for some time. Do I have exactly that? I don't have a piece of paper I can point to that states that no one has had this reported on their credit. That is just what I have found out by this point.
And just so you know, I heard the discussion about whether or not we were going to have a presentation. We've tried to line up people. We've tried to do research this week. I know I've been asking these questions all week, and I'd like to, have formally somebody from the credit group answer, because here's what I don't want to do, Vince, and I'm just telling you this.
Of course.
I don't want to put up a white flag and tell people we've resolved their debt, which is not even recorded and used against them from a credit purpose already, and then make it a taxable event where it's going to have a negative implication on their requirements or their income that they may have to claim. And then again, I would ask, what is our plan to be able to communicate these potential implications to? Do we have a listing of everybody that's their debt is going to be resolved, and the ability to make sure that we communicate with each one of these people? And are we willing to take on, again, the expense is less concerning to me, more about the notification of who they are, and if they are then used from a tax implication perspective that they're going to have to claim this on their taxes, they could have, in fact, a detrimental impact. Just conceivable. And again, we were trying to nail down these concerns, but it doesn't appear that those concerns are nailed down, at least to date. And we made a commitment to place this on the agenda. So if this is moved today, I don't want to make a motion or to support or go against any motion that I am not fully aware of what the unintended or those unintended concerns or consequences are. So at this point, without those questions being answered, at least from one commissioner's perspective, I'm going to abstain until I figure out how that's going to be resolved. And I'd like to know, sort of what the communication is going to be to those individuals that are impacted. They're twofold related to my thoughts related to communication. Number one, is this person going to be thoughtful that if the debt's not recorded, that the commissioners took action to alleviate debt today, and somehow I am going to be freed up to get an apartment tomorrow, or to purchase a car, or to be able to go out and buy a TV? Like, if this is not going to have a positive impact on your credit history, and it's currently not listed on your credit history, I don't want to send a mixed message to folks that says what the commissioners did today automatically allow for somebody to be able to access something they might not have been before this action was taken, because there's now a positive movement from a credit perspective on my report.
Can I speak to a potential concern here? So if I were to get into a negotiation with my credit card company and say I have $10,000 debt on my credit card, and I negotiate with them and they say, well, we'll take $5,000 cash now if you just and close out the card. What's going to happen at the end of that year is that they're going to claim $5,000 as a loss. They lost $5,000 on my account. I will have to claim $5,000 of gains, but that's only because the creditor claimed that as a loss. Is there anyone in the room, whether that's our financial director, our controller, who can say that we are going to claim $65.9 million as a loss? Because technically these expenses were paid. Technically, this is fake debt. Let's just be real. And so this is an expense that we put of $10 a day punitively on individuals who are incarcerated. By the way, many of them innocent while being incarcerated, paying $10 a day because of our punitive bail system. And now, as we're trying to unravel it on the back end, what we're being told is we're concerned that this could potentially affect them, as if $65.9 million isn't something that has affected people because we never reported it to credit, which we can't say unequivocally we haven't done that. We also we can say we're not doing it now, but we can't say we haven't done it in the past. And so the challenge I have is this debt goes back to probably before I was born. And so, I mean, some of these people might not even be alive. And are we doing the work to call these lists? I don't think we are, because every time I go to try to get an answer about this debt, which I've been trying to work hard since January 2nd, taking my oath of office to see this debt forgiven, it just seems like there's a different kind of answer. And this week has proposed even different answers. And so I don't see any world in which this is going to affect a former incarcerated individual in a negative way. And in the event that they have to claim it on their taxes, that they had, this debt forgiven, I think that would only be a result of us seeking to claim it as a loss. Is there anyone in the room who sees us filing some type of motion or some type of paperwork that we're claiming a $65.9 million loss?
Mr. Owens wants to.
So obviously my job is to provide the board with all cautions. Many times in these types of transactions, the person having the debt forgiveness has to agree. Now that sounds silly, but the reason that you need to be concerned truly is none of them are agreeing to accept the forgiveness. They could end up with an IRS obligation. And my understanding is that they aren't really being chased by the county for this or by Penn Credit. There's a huge number here that's inactive. So they could potentially go from not being chased for this money to an IRS obligation, which is a very different animal in terms of chasing debt and taxes. So again, the philosophy.
Isn't that only the case if the creditor claims the loss as a loss, though? Because that has to balance out with a gain. And so what I'm saying is, are we claiming it as a loss? Is there anyone in the room that can tell me we're claiming this $65.9 million as a loss?
I don't know the answer to that, but I
don't think we are, though, because I don't think we're going to claim this as a loss, because I don't think we even would have legal standing to claim fake debt as a loss.
I just want to put that caution out there for the.
But you used the terminology fake debt. I've tried to get some answers to this question, but a policy that collects that was a formal policy even before my time that started to establish this debt as being collected would be viewed not as really fake debt. It was the county policy that derived revenue as a result of a policy that required people to pay $10 a day. We've obviously overturned that. We don't believe that it's currently an appropriate level and way to provide that debt, but that was the actual mechanism. You can't just collect money from people without having a backup policy and a way to be able to accrue those revenues. That's not based upon a formal action of the prison board back at the time that they made those decisions. So ultimately, there was a formal action that was taken that related to a policy that started this collection. Now, the question I have, is this recorded or not recorded debt? If it's not recorded debt, again, it may be just the fact that it's, this is a political piece to say that we were to absolve this debt because it's not really something that's been reported. But I've not even gotten an answer to that question. So the point is, I just don't want to have, I don't know. I don't want to have unintended consequences to people that we're trying to help.
Well, we
That's
can't
my
get answers to questions. Here's what I will commit to. I will commit to if any former inmate of Dauphin County Prison would like to come sit before the commissioners at a commissioner meeting and have us reverse the forgiveness of the debt, I will vote in favor of reversing the forgiveness of their debt if that's something that they so want. And therefore,
I'll vote with you.
we will reverse their debt if they feel like they are having unintended consequences with that debt. But I believe the majority of these individuals will probably be thankful for $65.9 million being forgiven.
I don't disagree. I don't want them all to get tax bills or have violations or concerns related to these issues if that is in fact the case. And I just can't answer that question today.
Who is reporting to the IRS that we are forgiving?
I don't know. I don't even know if it's
65.9.
that.
That's exactly what and by the way, I've sat in the
that's
seat
the
for
case.
9 months and I still don't have an answer to these questions. So I'm asking right now, as we have directors in the room, is there anyone who can answer the question? We've called Penn Credit multiple times this week. We were hopeful to have someone here to give some comments. And I guess what I'm saying is we already have a motion. We have a second. I'm not in favor of further delaying this. If we need to amend it next week because we came into more information, fine. If inmates would like to, former inmates or current inmates would like to write us, tell us that they would like their debt reinstated. Hey, if that's the will of them, then we will reinstate their debt. But I'm in favor of forgiving it all.
There's been a motion made and second. Is there any additional discussion?
Yes. I asked last week, I'll ask again of the county controller. Is there any impact on prior, current, or future county operating budgets from this matter, in your opinion?
This item does not appear on the county's operating budget. It does not appear on any county audit other than the inmate account that we have an independent auditor audit. And actually last year when Boyer and Ritter did it, because we switched auditors, they did not even include this in their audit last year because it kind of wiped itself out. So it does not appear on any county budgets or financial statements.
I'm going to say the same thing I said last week. I feel this is in direct opposition to our reentry efforts for formerly incarcerated individuals to be able to positively reintegrate into society and become productive members of society. So therefore, I will be in support of moving forward with eliminating the past debt with one caveat. Just asking the solicitor before we vote on this. If we are sued by either particular agencies or if the IRS becomes involved, will we be covered by the fact that we have an audit performed by a credible auditing agency that states this doesn't even exist?
I can't answer that. I'm not a tax attorney. You'd have to get an expert opinion on that.
Okay. Any additional questions or discussions? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? I just want to note an abstention. All right. There any other matters that we need to take for former business that will continue to be tabled? Correct. Commissioners' comments. Commissioner Douglas.
Yeah, I'd like to provide an update on my ongoing efforts to review documents at Visit Hershey-Harrisburg, VHH. First, I want to extend my thanks to our solicitor, Matt Owens, for his efforts in coordinating an opportunity for me to review the documents. This came after VHH initially agreed to let me view the documents, but later reneged on that commitment. Last week, Solicitor Owens took steps to ensure I would be able to review the documents requested. We reached an agreement for me to examine them with their legal counsel present. However, VHH canceled the document review on the day it was scheduled yesterday due to an issue on their end. I had set aside 4 hours of my day for this review, canceling 2 other meetings to make myself available. And just want to say that as a commissioner, finding such a large block of time in my schedule is not easy. but I believe this matter was important to prioritize. Unfortunately, despite my efforts, the plan was changed. Given these repeated delays, I've now instructed Solicitor Owens to request that BHH deliver the documents directly to my office. While I had been willing to accommodate their preference for me to review the documents in person rather than take possession of them, the ongoing obstacles and the fact that the ordinance clearly grants me access to these records have led me to pursue a more straightforward approach, and I intend to review the documents in my office. I also want to address some of the criticism I've received recently regarding my commitment to transparency and accountability. To be clear, I did not seek out this issue. People regularly bring me information to my office for review, some of which is even anonymous. It has led to questions of mismanagement and misuse of public funds. I believe it is a basic principle that every dollar generated through taxation should be open for public review, and there must be accountability if funds are used inappropriately. Some have pointed out that this isn't real estate tax, but that's irrelevant. It's a hotel tax, and those funds are supposed to be reinvested in our county for the benefit of our constituents. That investment is meant to fuel growth for our local businesses, create jobs, and provide new opportunities for our residents. When I request documents to ensure these tax dollars, 95% of which fund BHH, are being used appropriately, and I encounter resistance, it only strengthens my resolve to bring greater transparency to our process. So I remain committed to moving forward, and I hope VHH will comply with the ordinance and provide access to the records. I will continue to keep the public informed of the developments. Two other things. Today, we passed a historic, I believe, for this county, forgiveness of debt. And I just want to say, as we continue to consider the reality of incarcerated individuals throughout our country, and ultimately the injustice that has often been experienced by incarcerated individuals, it is this commissioner's desire to continue to elevate dignity and worth and value even to our incarcerated population, and ensuring that they are no longer taxed, if you will, in ways like a $10 a day stay tax, that bail, cost to communicate with family and children. These things, while I understand the pressures on a county to provide the service of a prison, which is true, it is a challenge. We have a budget to balance, and that's very challenging. For that to come on the backs of our incarcerated people who are already typically dealing with economic disadvantage is only going to further drive them down the ladder of economic standing and ability to experience financial freedom, and certainly freedom after incarceration. And so I will remain committed to that. I also want to say this is personal for me, the ballot curing, only because on the night of the election, and not to get political, my election, I was only ahead by 42 votes. I ended up winning by 184. We refused to declare victory until after all the provisional ballots had been cast. But I want to express a scenario to you just to say our process matters for voting. Had I been down by 42 votes on election night, I still would have won. I just want that to and that would have been a very big challenge for people to understand, because they don't understand how our voting works, how curing works, how provisional ballots work. It's important that we take this message back to our communities and talk to people about the fact that on election night, every vote has not been counted. People overseas who are serving this country have not had their votes counted yet. Those are provisional ballots that are coming over. And so we need to ensure that we have a greater understanding and that every vote counts. Every single person who desires to cast a vote, that their vote counts. And so I'm proud of this ballot curing measure, because I believe what it's going to do functionally is ensure that everyone in Dauphin County who desires to vote gets the chance to vote. And so I just wanted to say those three things. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Douglas. Commissioner Priest?
Yes, two topics. The first one, I joined my colleagues from Cumberland County and Perry County this morning at the Greater Harrisburg Association of Realtors breakfast. It was a great opportunity for us to engage in conversation with commissioners from adjoining counties and hear from the folks at the Real Estate Association. And I want to thank my colleagues for the comments they made and our pledge to work together to get things done moving forward. Just touching on the Visit Hershey Harrisburg topic, Mr. Solicitor, is it your opinion that these are public documents that Commissioner Douglas is requesting?
As I read the ordinance, I've only read it with respect to Commissioner Douglas's request. And under the ordinance and everything that the solicitor's office have reviewed, he's entitled to the review.
Okay, I've voted every year on the $1 million to go to VHH. And I believe that this is money that is benefiting Dauphin County tourism industry tenfold. We have a sitting elected official who's asking for public documents to review. Release the documents.
Thank you, Commissioner Breeze. I want to give a shout out to the Parks and Rec Department, first of all, and Larry Moore and the folks that put together another incredible event at Fort Hunter Park this weekend, the Jazz Festival. I think it was a record crowd, record attendance. I know as we came together and put a vision together for what those kind of events would look like in Dauphin County, some 10, 15 years ago. I remember having this conversation, and I think from, the cultural festival, who we thank, to our, jazz festival, to the, the all of the events, the Parks and Rec, over, I think they have almost an event a day in the Parks and Rec Department. And they were, by the way, named the Parks and Rec Department of the Year this year in the state of Pennsylvania. The idea of recognition of those individuals who do the job every day are extraordinarily important. It's not easy to find good employees, and we have got an incredible group at our Parks and Rec Department throughout Dauphin County in general. But to be able to acknowledge them and to be able to say thank you for the people that do the job every day, who make or break, make us look good, and ultimately provide an incredibly valuable service to our community. We had people there from 11 states that were represented to talk about tourism. And it was jam-packed with probably the best lineup. I just saw an email from the Virginia Jazz Festival that said this is now what they believe is the top location and destination on the East Coast for jazz. So that kind of recognition is a kind of recognition that has brought us sort of record tourism investment. And I want to say thank you to the employees that are involved. I also want to say I think we did move in the right direction today with ballot curing. It's been an issue that I have continued to advocate for, even on prior boards. And I think, the idea, the way the Commonwealth Court has moved, I think we have done the right thing to ensure that we've got an election that's fair, free, and accessible. And I also want to thank, finally, all county employees, but also I know voter registration this year is the spotlight's going to be on Dauphin County as a place where all these divisions have happened across this nation. And I want to tell you that after participating in a simulation with them, EMA, and local providers, our emergency planning, the ability for us to be able to determine whether or not, any scenario happens and how we respond, and their ability to have dedicated staff at both in the registration bureau, but also dedicated volunteers that run this election process. I don't think there's a lot of concerns in many places in county government. I've not gotten a whole lot of sleep, but the idea that we have a great and prepared elections bureau with dedicated volunteers that are ready to meet this challenge with all eyes on them, I feel pretty confident that we are going to continue to lead the way as it relates to the integrity of Dauphin County's election. So I want to thank those employees, and thank all Dauphin County employees today.
And if I may, I'd like to go back even further. You brought up Parks and Rec. I want to thank prior boards of commissioners for their support, back to Hayes, DeFrancisco, and Hartwick for supporting our Parks and Rec, and directors like Carl Dixon, and the great work that Larry Moore and Anthea Stebbins and her team have done and are doing to make our Parks and Rec department, as you said, the #1 in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. That is a proud moment for us as county commissioners, and it should be for all our county residents.
And you added one more. I'll add one more. Just the idea of the creation of this film commission. I don't know if most people know this, but this region now has a film commission that has battled for tax credits. The state has had a history of having all of the money for revenue for the industry to be able to promote and produce films go to Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. Because this board has taken action to be able to create this film commission, led by John Trey Williams, we are actually in a position to secure a potential investment from the tax credits that's going to allow for a major film this summer to be filmed here right in Dauphin County. Again, this is not just a local thing, it's a regional thing. The T in Pennsylvania now is in play as it relates to trying to find both incentives, tax credits, and going out to market to the film industry with all of these series and sitcoms and movies that are being produced. They won't come here unless we have that kind of incentive. And I want to thank John Trey and all involved in that process. So apologize for adding one more thing on. This is the opportunity now for public participation. Is there anybody in the audience that wants to participate in front of the board? Come forward, please state your name and address.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Mary Ellen May, and I live at 37 Oak Hill Drive in Middletown. I am the president of Off the Streets Middletown, and I thank you for the opportunity to come here today to raise awareness of what we do. When we think of the word homeless, there are definitely images that come to mind, especially if you work in the city. You know, there's the gentleman down there on 2nd Street holding a sign. There's the folks kind of huddled on benches at the corner of Market and 2nd Street. There are the people that sleep on the steps of Market Street or Market Square Presbyterian Church. But I'd like to talk to you today about a different subset of homeless folks, ones that don't come to mind immediately when you think of the homeless. And those are young people who are couch surfing from house to house because they don't have a place of their own. Families who are doubled up with other families. Families who have been living in motels for months. And then we have the home insecure, people whose building has been condemned and they are forced to move, or people who have been priced out of their apartments by their landlords, or people whose landlords are selling the building and the new owner does not want to rent or wants to renovate and raise rents. So it is for these people that Off the Streets exists. Off the Streets nationally was started by Deacon Michael Olds in Connecticut, and that was back in 2009. Since then, there are 12 Off the Streets chapters, all of which are individually run and funded and ruled throughout this country. What we do is we work with social service agencies. They refer clients to us, individuals or families who have found a place to live and who have the means to sustain their monthly rent payments. What Off the Streets then does is supply a security deposit. I'm sure that many of us are aware that the upfront costs to moving into an apartment or a home to rent, which includes security deposit, first and last month's rent, that is the biggest hurdle for people to overcome in order to find housing. So we will provide them with up to $1,000 as a security deposit. And we will also provide furniture. And I think we are unique in that respect, Off the Streets Middletown, which serves Dauphin County, in that we actually will bring the furniture to our clients. I think that we are the only nonprofit in this area that is doing that. As I said, there are 12 Off the Streets chapters throughout the country. Off the Streets Middletown, which I don't want you to be misled by the title, we serve Dauphin County. And we work with Dauphin County agencies. We were established in March of 2023. According to our national president, Joe Simons, for the year 2023, we were third in the country as far as Off the Streets, as far as being busy, behind Lancaster, which is the busiest, Toledo, Ohio, which is the second. And for the year of 2023, the year that we formed, we were the third busiest of 12 throughout the country. We have to date helped 324 individuals, many of them children. And we have given out $65,640 in security deposits. So we're not playing. I think that that's a direct reflection on what the need is in this area. That may bring up the question, how are we funded? We are funded by donations, we are funded by grant applications, and we are and awards. And we are funded by our own fundraising activities. Just last Friday, we had our inaugural golf tournament, which actually netted $6,900. So we didn't do too badly. We hope to continue our work with the help and the support and the awareness of people throughout Dauphin County. And I guess I would say, just to sum up, that the moves are probably the best part of what we do. You know, moving people into a home, being able to give them things that most of us take for granted. You know, beds and sheets and pillows and crock pots and all kinds of things. I think probably my favorite story was of a mother who had 3 children, 11-year-old daughter, and 8 and 5-year-old boys. They had been living in a motel for months. When they finally were able to move into the home, we moved them in, we brought them beds. I came back the next morning to bring more furniture and to see how they were doing. And Mom said, she said, you know, I waited half the night for those babies to come in and sleep with me in my room. And they never came. They stayed in their own beds. And I think that that was before, you know, they felt safe, they felt secure, they were comfortable, and they knew they were home.
Not to mention, I can't tell you how many tragedies I've experienced and families have experienced with the co-sleeping issue and young babies
Oh, absolutely.
because of both
Absolutely.
economic situations and a lack of knowledge related to those issues. So that's a true blessing.
I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions?
I just want to say thank you. Thank all of you who are here that do this work. This is such essential work, and certainly please keep us apprised of how we can support you. We do have a gaming grant process that supports nonprofits, which I assume you are a nonprofit, and ways in which we can support you. Certainly, we want to be made aware of that. So if you have questions about that, or if that's something you haven't already applied for, please talk with our chief clerk afterwards, Vincent, and make sure he directs you to how you can participate in some of the ways that we can help maybe grant some funds toward this, because this sounds really amazing.
Thank you. And anyone is welcome to accompany us on a move.
You're on the move. Commissioner Priest.
Thank you for the great work that you're doing. Clearly, there are residents within our county that are in need, and great individuals like yourself and your team are stepping up and paying it forward and helping those folks. And we can't thank you enough for the great work that you have been doing, are doing, and will continue to do. And I look at these numbers, 65,600 plus given out, running up to $1,000 for the first and last month's rent, security deposit, providing furniture. I mean, I guarantee you 99% of the population in Dauphin County has no idea the good work you're doing. And coming here today, in fact, we live stream this, more people are going to find out about this and spread the good word. So thank you.
Thank you.
I want to thank you quickly, and I'm up here thinking about ways to help. So make sure we connect. I got a couple of good ideas.
Great. Okay.
So
Thank you so
I'm
much.
thinking about connecting you to some resources that I think may be non-traditional you might not be thinking about. Did you want to say anything, sir?
We wanted 80% of people help. Or
Yes.
we do moves, Harrisburg, Steel, Middletown, but 80%.
Well, we appreciate your service. You're doing God's work. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll figure out a way to partner, make sure we follow up. All right. Thank you again. Is there anybody that wants to make public comment? Yes, sir. Take your time.
Again, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for what you have done, and appreciate the leadership of Justice Douglas in terms of the matter relating to the debt in terms of the people going into the jail system. And the reason I do so is that I'm consistent because it's just that you look at the data in terms of people who are going into our jails. You don't have to look at the data. Just go to the third floor any day today and see who are people who are in the docks. They look like me. They don't look like them. They look like me. That's preeminent, not only in Dauphin County, but throughout America. We are the criminals of America, Black men in particular. An estimated 28.5% of all Black men are in jail. 1/3 of us are in jail. All of us are criminals by definition, wherever we go. So all of our sons are criminals wherever we go. That's just a fact of life we deal with because that's how we're dealt with in this system. It wasn't like that before 1960. For over 100 years, it wasn't like that. Policy change. And policy change at the federal level under the Clintons, and policy change at the local level. I'm asking you to go beyond the low-hanging fruit and look at the policy, which is incarcerating men like me. 1/3 across this country, 1.8 million people in jail in America, 1.65 million in jail in China. I think they have a larger population than ours. I think.
No, significantly.
Yeah. 28.5% of Black men, all Black men, are in jail. So when you look at your population in Dauphin County, that's what it's saying. You're going to put 28.5% in jail in Dauphin County from the moment of birth. 28.5% of them are going to go to jail. 16% of Hispanic men. This is great. 4.54% of white men. 4.4% of white men. Didn't say white educated men. Didn't say white men with college degrees. Didn't say white men who live in the suburbs. It says 4.4% of white men are expected to serve in jail or prison. Black women, 3.6%. The target clearly is whom? People of my gender, Black men. That's not by accident. That's that loophole in the 14th Amendment, which says no one can be enslaved except for jail. The South used it very rigorously after 1865 in order to enforce vagrancy laws, and if you didn't have a job with a white businessman. The North has used it also since 1960, and particularly came to fruition in the 90s under Clinton. The low-hanging fruit is the credit piece, and that's a good start. But we need to look at how we're criminalizing Black men, Blacks generally in this county. Take a look at the third floor. Just walk over to the third floor. You're not there except as judges. You're not there except as police. You're not there. I'm there. In abundance. 1/3. Every third Black man you see in Dauphin County is going to jail. I'm asking you to take a look at policies which are putting us in jail. However, recognize one thing. The prison system makes money. Contracts for telephone. We don't get those contracts. I bet there's not one black business person that owns telephone concession, food concession, none of that. I know it goes out to bid and we go with the lowest responsible bidder. I'm sure that's the case. But again, when you take a look at the contracts in Dauphin County, I'll bet whatever, that the contracts across the board in the prison system, they're going to Caucasian firms, owned by Caucasians. And if not, there'll be affirmative action is their white wife, the white sister, white female, but not the blacks or the browns. So not only are we part of a system which incarcerates us and labels us so that when we get that record, we can't get a decent job, we can't get even into public housing. So it's nice, the $65 million. That's a low hanging fruit. But we need to look at policy. You need to sit down and look at how you function as a business. It even financially doesn't make sense. You take that 28.5%, reduce it back to where you as white men at 4.4%. Now they're creating their jobs and they're paying taxes. It doesn't even make sense to continue this policy. Economically, it doesn't make sense. Think about overall policy, not just this one piece. And I applaud you for doing what you've done, but it's nowhere near what needs to be done. And economically, it makes sense to stop criminalizing Black men in particular, and Blacks as general. That calls for a change in policy. And what I'm saying is don't do it for civil rights, do it economically. Do it for financial, because you got tax issues in the county, you got to raise taxes. Well, guess what? People who are out of jail pay taxes. You'll have more people to tax. I'm offering you a financial incentive. Get off my back. All right. Please give consideration. I'll be back.
Thank you. Any additional public comment? All right, hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion to adjourn.